Professor Apia, and then also to all of you who are listening to us, Mr. Paddy, and all the directors of education across the 16 regions of this country, wherever you are, teachers. We want to say thank you very much for taking care of our children. Those of you at the boarding houses, house masters, house mistresses, matrons, and all of you who are working tirelessly to ensure that our children are safe and eating well in our schools. We want to say a good morning to you this morning. We appreciate you, and we believe that you're going to continue doing your best to ensure that this country becomes what we are all praying for it to be through education. God bless you. Stay tuned.
You are listening to the Transformation Agenda series on education with Abraham Again.
Yehovah Hashem, Yehovah Hashem.
This is the Transformation Agenda series on education with Abraham Again.
Yehovah Hashem, Yehovah Hashem. Woni makume mwa hintasam, woni majekwa wajiwo. Eya sunje na nyaboniti, obe mweri pa eni asunje. Woni makume mwa hintasam, woni majekwa wajiwo. Eya sunje na nyaboniti, obe mweri pa eni asunje. Obe shao, yeah, oh, wabashe.
Transformation Agenda series on education. Word Radio GH. Class 91.3 FM. And then on www.classfmonline.com. Connect with us this morning. We have a lot to show you. So retain and pay up. Ebi an efro ba onse. Nyama ohihye yemba no na sum no nyama kakrabo. Nsa afra no kosuna teacher charge na sonta wo tro tester onto me yaze. First na chef wo mo kwa mo wasn't ba was hwembo from be. Obi so ba no question na abafra na wante na wante man answer papa. Na base uba no do classroom ho. So yeri kan ade bi na o show ba na so means na o mo kasa onse. yɛre tensɛm na yɛre tasen ɔwɔ nhyirase yɛre tensɛm na yɛre tasen ɔwɔ nhyirase nti baabi a ɛwɔ biara ɔmmɔdena na fa wɔaso aba class 91.3 FM do ɛna anɔpɛ yi sɛ ɛte yɛn fi Volta regional ɛte fi Ashanti regional biara ɛhwɛ yɛn fi bi ɛte yɛn fi biara ɔmmɔdena na ma wɔaso ambra ha anɔpɛ yi anɔpɛ yɛrebɔ sua ade bebree yɛbɛbɔ yɛn adwene ne yɛn nyiwa yɛhu nyama ne yɛate nyama ade bebree baabi a ɛwɔ biara mpɔtwɛ ɔmo wɔaso ambra ha anɔpɛ yi
all the days of your life. Say amen. That's right, that's right. Oh, young quay, I say amen, 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 amen. They say goodness and mercies shall follow you. Goodness and mercies shall follow you.
students may not know that they have the condition. So
Okay.
unless they are screened or they are assessed before, they will get to know they even had something which needs to be taken care of. Sometimes it's the teacher. The teacher has no idea or has very little knowledge about identifying or even suspecting that their children have special needs or disabilities. So they go on teaching, and like I said last week, it is very easy for us to label people and say they are lazy or they don't want to learn. But we have to take time to find out the reason why they are not learning well in the classroom. It could be as a result of sometimes they're not hearing or the other types of disabilities that we will talk about.
Oh, okay, all right. So let's begin with the causes of hearing loss.
So we'll look at some common causes of hearing loss. The first one I'll talk about is we call genetic factors.
Okay.
So genetic factors can cause hearing loss. Then hereditary factors too. So sometimes the hearing loss runs in a particular family. You find the father is deaf or the mother is deaf or someone in the family, a relative close or near, is deaf. Then we have, for conductive hearing loss, the ones that we can easily take care of, we have wax impaction.
Okay.
Yeah, so in the outer ear are glands. Those glands produce oils. That is why when you put your finger in your ears, it's a little oily.
Yeah.
Then we have dead tissues. Then we have some, for lack of a better expression, some chemicals. I don't want to be very technical.
Okay.
In the ear that mix up with the dead skin cells and then the oils which are produced in the ear. The wax or the cerumen is supposed to make the ear very moist.
Okay.
And sticky, and it has a very sour taste, so that if an insect enters into the ear, it will not damage the ear.
Okay.
So the wax will trap it.
Okay.
Now, what happens is that sometimes the wax gets accumulated, so it's so much that it begins to block the outer ear. Once that happens and it becomes impacted, then when sound is supposed to enter into the ear, that wax will block the sound, so it reduces how we hear.
Okay.
The risk of using cotton bud and putting other things into our ears is that our ear canal is not straight. It's like an S shape. So in an attempt to clean out the wax, you push it further.
Okay.
Now, when it gets to a particular part of the ear canal, the wax is supposed to travel out on its own and fall off. So sometimes when you sleep and you wake up, you find the wax on your pillow or something.
Okay.
When you try to clean it and you put in the ear, the cotton bud, it pushes the wax further.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't come out, and then you keep adding more, you keep adding more. Eventually, it may become an infection. It may push against the ear canals, cause pain, or it will cause some amount of hearing loss.
Okay, so before you continue, we've been going to the hospital for checkups, and when we feel pains in our body, how often should one go to the hospital to go and check their hearing or wash their ears? If
we recommend twice a year.
Twice a year, so every 6 months at least you go once.
Just go through.
But since I was born, I've never been to the hospital to clean my ear. It's serious, right?
Yes, you.
So
should.
maybe I have hearing loss.
We should check it. Then after that, we do a hearing assessment.
Okay.
For the hearing assessment, you can do a hearing assessment once a year, just to be sure that
your hearing is okay,
not dropping.
Okay.
Because it's very expensive to manage hearing loss. For instance, there are devices that we call them amplification devices. The simplest technology is the hearing aid. For that one, you just buy, you hang it on your pinna, and then we connect it into your ear canal and you can hear.
Okay.
And that one would cost you at least 6,000 Ghana cedis.
All right, I'll come to that. But before we do that, do you think that drivers should go for this kind of checks? Because you go and they check your eye. That's what they concentrate on, to see whether you can see, close this one and all that. But your hearing is also important in driving.
Very, very important. Drivers should get their hearing checked. Even teachers should check their hearing, so that when school children are speaking to them, they could hear them well.
We had chemistry exams at Palm Secondary School. The highest was, I think, 0.9/10. And there was a guy, he's deceased now. So the teacher came to the classroom and asked everyone to mention their score. And then he said he had 9. And the teacher, what did you say? I said none.
That was part of it.
He said, I said none. You were talking of hearing aids. I was going to ask you a question last week and I forgot. Let me ask you. Now, we have a lot of students that are having hearing problems. When you go to the school to screen them and you find this out, are you able to support them with aids? And do you have any link of people coming into, like we have NGOs that work in this? We have the Ministry of Health. Or let me ask you, in your quest to test these children, is it linked with the Ministry of Health? Do you do it with the Ministry of Health?
Okay, so for my facility, it's a university, so it's not linked to the Ministry of Health. So we work on our own. Yes, but I'm aware that the National Assessment Center has links with Ghana Education Service, and they have been bringing in hearing aids for school children.
Okay.
Yes, but if we can boost it and bring in more.
The hearing aids that they bring, is it enough?
They are not enough.
Okay, so you have children, if they were to share, you have children that will not get.
Yes, and if we ask them to buy, they are expensive. So
okay.
If there could be an intervention from government, if for school age children, the government would take a portion of the amount.
Okay.
Yes, in other jurisdiction, other countries, their health insurance takes care of the hearing aids because the assessment alone is expensive and the aids are expensive, and we sell them. We don't sell them in pairs. We sell them single. So if it's 6,000, then
you have to buy two.
You have to buy two if the hearing loss is in both ears. So if there could be an intervention from government or the Ministry of Education that seeks to reduce the cost of hearing aids for school age children. So once you get the assessment done and then we know this child has to be in school and they need this aid, then maybe government takes a portion of the amount and then the parents or other people would come in to support. It would be very, very
Let me ask you, percentage wise, if we are looking at 100 students, if you bring 200 students, percentage wise, in your own like the experience that you have with students, what's the percentage that you think may have hearing problems?
I would estimate 10 to 16%.
10 to 16%.
Yes, anytime we screen, we get between 10 to 16% having hearing loss.
Okay, but are you do you continue or continuously, as in your routines, or regularly finding out that the student have hearing loss or issues? Do you always find solutions, as in pursuing or finding solutions to ensure that they have hearing aids or these things are done? Or once government supplies or maybe 15% of what you need, it's expensive, so you don't care?
Okay, so it even goes beyond just giving the hearing aids. We have to train them to use the hearing aids. We have to train the people in the environment to understand how the hearing aid works. Yes, so for a few people who are close to us, or those who have the privilege of coming to us after we've done the screening, let me start from here. So usually when we travel out, we find the nearest audiologist.
Okay.
So for instance, if we go to the Volta region to screen, then I would probably find one of my colleagues who is in the Volta region, because I'll be very far away from them. Then after that, I would hand them over to the audiologist over there, and then so that he would continue with the help. Now, one challenge is that there are very few audiologists, and some people have been trained, but they are not employed. So in 2013, when we started, the number of audiologists was less than 10. It was about 6.
The whole of the country?
The whole of the country. There were 6 audiologists, but thankfully now
16 regions, 6 audiologists.
Yes.
So
but now the number has increased to about 50.
50.
But of the 50, I can take a wild guess and say about 20% are employed.
So you have about 20%
employed. The rest are into private practice, or they are doing something else with the knowledge they have, because there are no places for them to work. Meanwhile, their services are needed.
Wow.
And we all cannot be clustered in Accra or in Cape Coast. We need audiologists who are in our districts. There should be audiologists in every region, in every district, so that the children will not have to travel all the way from north and come to Kolebu for a hearing assessment, because from the north all the way down, no one is there. Yes. But if we're able to get there, after we do the hearing assessment and everything for them, then we find the closest audiologist who can attend to them, does the training with the hearing aid fitting the evaluation. Then we give them time to adapt for about 1 month. They come back, we reassess them. If we have to retune or reprogram the aids for them, we do that for them. Then the next step would be going into the classroom and then teaching the teachers how to even ensure that the device is working before they start teaching.
Oh, okay.
Then comes another issue, which is the batteries. They would have to replace the batteries after 1 week or 2 weeks.
That's expensive to use.
Exactly. That is why when we are educating, we tell it's very expensive to manage your hearing loss. So if you have good hearing,
You have to protect it.
you have to protect it. Don't do anything which would destroy your hearing, because it will be very expensive for you to manage it.
Wow.
There are other technologies like the cochlear implants. We started a surgery in Ghana. Previously, they would have to fly to Canada or Egypt or South Africa to get it done. Now we are doing it in Ghana. But one cochlear implant surgery is costing about $25,000.
Wow.
So for someone who needs two, they are paying about $45,000 to $50,000. And I wonder how many people can afford that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, hearing is very expensive to maintain. So it's very prudent that we should take care of our hearing, avoid putting things into our ears, anything which would make us lose our hearing. We should avoid that. And with that being said, if there is any way NGOs or government can come in to subsidize the cost of procuring hearing aids, bringing them into the country is another problem. So we have facilities that dispense hearing aids, but the tax on them is very high. So when they bring them here, then they would also have to increase the price so that they stay afloat in their business.
But if it's for school children, I think there should be something. If they are being imported for the purpose of education, I think that one can be.
Yes, and we have people who are ready to support to bring it down. But like you are saying, if the support comes from government, if there will be tax exemptions or something like that to help them bring them into the country.
Like you know someone, for example, who wants to bring, like you have someone, and then because of taxes,
Yes,
they are unable to.
There are several cases like that.
They want to come and support, but because of taxes, they can't bring.
They can't bring them in.
Like you needed them for students
Yes, so when we get them, we give it to the students.
for free, or they buy.
We give it to them for free.
So it means that when they are coming to this, you have them for free from government.
Exactly.
I believe that some of these things, if the minister gets to know, I went to where did I go to? Ashanti region. I was at Educhum Senior High School, and some of the schools that are available that we have also seen where they got this smart. We're trying to get them iPads and all this to use in the classroom. You have every student getting one of the of them. So if government is supplying this thing for free for the sake of education, then I don't think it will be difficult to exempt taxes on hearing aids that are coming to help students here. I have caption on Facebook right now.
Okay.
Now, whilst I'm speaking, if I mispronounce a word, the system is going to give me as it had the word mentioned.
Exactly.
So I believe that even in our classroom, some of the writing words and answering questions is based on what we heard. So considering our hearing in a classroom in terms of providing aids, for me, I think is very important.
Yes.
You're talking about trends in hearing assessment and management. Let's talk about that one.
Okay, so accessibility is one. So access to the devices, like we started discussing, is very important. Then we are looking at the testing booth. So there has been an initiative by government to make sure that every region has a regional assessment center.
Okay.
So they are creating assessment centers in the special schools for the deaf in every region.
Yeah.
I think that project was about a year or 2 years ago. I'm sure the Honorable Minister of Education is very much aware of that initiative. Yes. So that has been in place. But the testing booths in itself are very expensive to import. So we should be looking at creative ways of constructing cost-effective testing booths. So we can link just with the STEM agenda, which the Honorable Minister is pushing. We can link with other institutions who can make these boots for us cost effective. So if there are other universities who are into the technical things, we could consult them, and then they could make this boot. It has some standards, like the way the rooms here are padded.
Okay.
We do that so that external noise does not get
okay.
into the testing environment.
Okay, just
Yes.
like studios are made.
Exactly. So we have to look at creative ways of creating the boots. Then now there are apps. There are apps which can be used for screening.
Okay.
So we don't have to carry very, very big equipment and then move them around to screen. So like the iPads and the tablets that you're talking about, we could procure these apps for the audiologists who be traveling onto the field to do this assessment for children. It will be more cost effective than importing very huge audiometers, which would cost us so much.
Okay.
Yeah, so we could be exploring app-based screening in our schools. Then we should explore accessibility for low resource settings.
Okay.
And that is one of the things that we do, which is very insightful. We go to communities which are very far to reach because they would have to pay for their transportation to the assessment center and back. But if we're able to carry the service to them like we do when we go
Like we had a library van.
Yes.
Okay.
So last week I mentioned we have a mobile van. It's a Land Rover, so it goes to very rough terrains. So we are able to go to different communities and then we set up in a day. We do the hearing assessment for the children and the community members. Those who we can help on site, we do that. Those who would have to be referred and then reassess, we refer them and then we do the assessment. So we can explore accessibility in terms of reaching out to low resource settings. And I'm sure the audiologists in the country would be very glad when such an initiative is brought on. They will jump and help.
Yeah.
Now, one of the critical things that we have to look at is newborn screening.
Okay.
So once a child is born, within hours after birth, we can suspect whether they are hearing or not.
Okay.
Then intervention can begin at
From-
that time.
okay.
It's more effective. And for instance, research is showing that if we give right interventions at an early stage, by 3 to 4 years, the child who has hearing loss would have catch up with the normal language abilities of someone who was born with normal hearing.
Okay.
So by the time they are 3, 4, their language would be close to a child who has normal hearing.
Oh,
which
okay.
means that early identification and management is very critical.
All right. So you talk of early identification and management.
Yeah.
We have a lot of labor wards, nurses, and all of that. When children are born, is it part of their routine to check whether the children can hear or not?
It's just in the teaching hospitals that it happens.
But other,
It does not happen.
don't we have to get these people, every setup? Shouldn't it be like if you are managing a labor sort of system where you help people bring forth children and all that, then you should have some of these things in place so that you don't bring out. I posted something on Facebook and I said that it's important for the hospitals to conduct paternity tests when children are born. Immediately they have to. And someone didn't understand, but I believe that we are getting to a point where we understand that, because
we need it actually.
you need to have a paternity
Yes.
test to know whether the father's child or not, and this will go a long way to solve some of the problems that we have.
Yes. So like if there is this saying that if you have a snake which is tiny, which has just hatched, it is easy to kill it.
Yeah.
But if you leave it and it grows to become a big python,
Maybe
now you
bite you and
struggle
swallow
to
you. Yeah.
Yes. So if we niche it in the bud at a very early stage, it is easier. So once the baby is born, we screen. Then after 2 weeks, we screen again. If there is a hearing loss, it can be detected and then intervention starts quickly.
Okay, so let's say the hospitals don't have these facilities. Every parent who is listening to us, a father, mother, whoever you are listening to us, must understand that when you give birth, you have a child,
You must test their
go send them for their hearing to be tested.
Exactly.
Very important. You don't think that they will be normal. And one side where we have to be careful is where we always spiritualize everything.
Exactly. That is one of the difficulties that we have as professionals. We attach a lot of spirituality to everything. We are not ruling that out, that it exists. We understand. But at least let's know what it is. if we know what it is, then we will know how to pray about it,
Yes,
or
of
what
course.
to do
Of course, you're
to
right.
solve it. So newborn screening is a current trend. Then we are also advocating for screening before children enter into school.
Okay.
So once before the child starts their education at the preschool level, there should be screening for them, so that we are sure that they have good hearing, or we can give them an intervention before they begin their education. So one of the current trends, which would love so much for it to happen, is before the child is admitted to school, it can be at various terminal stages. So when they are entering into preschool, we can screen them. Then when they are moving to lower primary, we screen them again. When they move to upper primary, JHS, we screen them, because some of the experiences we had, we once met a student at Abakrampa in the central region. They were going to write BEC, and she had hearing loss. She had amount of hearing loss, and she was going to take oral English. She has to listen before she writes the test.
Wow.
Yes, we were only fortunate, and then we had some hearing aids available, so we quickly mobilized 2 and give to her. I'm sure by now she would have completed SHS or ES. If we hadn't detected, she would have written the exam, possibly had bad grades in English, and would think she didn't learn. But it was because she didn't hear, which means that for all the period that she was listening to the teacher, she was struggling to hear the teacher. So it's going to affect the amount of information she retains, and ultimately it affects her education. And it affects her future, because if she doesn't pass that exam, it's very likely that she's not going to continue her education. Her career is truncated, and she ends up in the community, and we think she wasn't good at all, but it was because she wasn't hearing. So hearing at entry level for schools is very important to us. Then one critical thing we want to talk about is reduction in stigma. The way we perceive people who are deaf and people who have hearing loss. Like you rightly mentioned, we attach a lot of spirituality to it. So we are attributing the causes of hearing loss to curses, to retribution, to nemesis, and all sort of things. So you have people mixing concoctions and putting it into their children's ears because their worship leader has asked them to do that. We are not ruling it out, but at least bring them to the professionals. Let us check them. Then after that, we'll tell you what to do. Then amplification devices, we've spoken very much about that. Reduction in the cost would be very helpful to us as professionals in the country, and it will aid our work.
Yes, and I'm talking about reduction in costs, or the cost of the hearing aids. So we have KNUST. Currently we have STEM innovation, where you have students who are innovating stuff in our secondary institutions. Haven't we got to the level where we can have some of the hearing aids done within this in this country, that we must always be importing hearing aids?
We could try. That's why in my earlier submission I mentioned collaborating with other institutions who are into tech and development of equipment and all this. It's psychoacoustics, so it's a lot of physics and a lot of sound.
But we have the physics
exactly with electronics. So if we have people who would venture into that field and study that field, I'm sure we would be able to produce. Because if China is producing aids, why can't we? Yes, we've started producing cars. We can make our own bicycles. We are manufacturing our own consoles. These are electronics. So I believe that if people venture into studying how hearing aids are manufactured,
it's also another thing where we manufacture the things here in this country, but they are even expensive than the one that we import.
Well, that is something that we
maybe in producing it.
Maybe the materials. Usually,
but I think if you are using local materials, because if you look, I've been following STEM innovation, for example, and most of the things they children are producing, they get it from local raw materials. So we could also get something like that per environment and see which one we can use.
It would be a really interesting area to explore. So we pick audiology, we pick electronics, we pick physics. We come together. How we will come together and try it out. If it works, then we start manufacturing in the country.
All right, thank you very much. So I'm here with Dr. Cyril Mauli Honu Mensah, who is an audiologist, Center for Hearing and Speech Services, University of Education, Winnipeg. We are discussing hearing, and I believe that you enjoy. We want to activate the phone lines now, so if you have any question, last week we couldn't. We want to do it early today, so you can call and ask questions, or if you have some contributions to make, you can do so. 0302 20 80 80 0302 20 80 80 0302 20 80 80. Call us if you have some contribution or have question to ask, or you have some problems and you need help. We have an audiologist right here who will help you to get that done. All right, so let's continue.
Okay, so I'm sure on those on Facebook and YouTube would see some images shortly being displayed.
Okay,
these are just samples of the kind of things that we see in the ears of children when we go out for screening.
All right, so Shayana Mpocho Asama Yen Dr. Nor Kinde Sheko Facebook Transformation Agenda Series on Education Word Radio GH page Koko Shazo Nyama we you on before assume ko Facebook live now and watch Transformation Agenda Series on Education. Ebehwe nyama we you on before assume Bube na beats na Inyama kesaka so hye woman na so nti na hye woman na suma. There's no way I will kasa obetse. Into ya wofuna say it na if you're a teacher listen to us, go on Facebook, you see objects that have been removed from the ears of children. So there's a caller on the line. Let's pick this one and then we will come back to you. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, your name and where you're calling us from, please.
I'm Philip calling from Amazaman.
Oh, okay, all right. Talk to her. You say your name is what?
Philip.
Felix.
Philip.
Okay, all right. Talk to us.
Okay, I wanted to ask your resource person if they have intention of training people in each district where we can help assess the students. These people might not necessarily be teachers, but people in a community that can help assess the students.
Okay.
Is there any plan of that sort?
All right. So what he's saying is if there's a plan to train people so that in remote areas where you don't have professionals, I think because they've been trained, they are able to assess and help. Actually, that's the question that is being asked.
Okay, thank you very much. Like I already mentioned, there are a lot of trained people who just need to be posted to these places. We have to find places for them to work. So there are several of my colleagues who are not attached to any facility.
When you are trained, who posts you? Who sends you to places to work?
Okay, so the Ministry of Health has employed some of the audiologists. The Ministry of Education has employed some of the audiologists. So you find those with attached to the Ministry of Education are in the special schools, the various assessment centers. Then those with Ministry of Health are with the hospitals. So you find them with the teaching hospitals. The rest of us are in private practice. So we are either with a university or they are doing something in the private sector. Yes. And so there are several people.
So who is supposed to, send those who are not working out? Who is supposed to do that?
Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education.
So Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health are supposed to employ these people?
Because they are all allied health professionals.
Okay.
So for instance, if there was clearance to employ, then government could have absorbed some of these professionals and then send them into the regions. And like I said, if we get them in every district, it will be very helpful. Yes, but for now, even if we start with every region, and then there are 3 or 4 people in every region,
and who are also training others,
then we could talk about expansion. The training program is in KNUST and the University of Ghana, the School of Biomedical and Allied Health Science. So we don't have to travel outside of the country to get trained. We are trained in the country here, but because the employment is very slow. So for instance,
you finish and then you are home. So who will go into that?
Yes. So we do every 2 years, and then they don't train we don't train a lot of them. Because
we have a lot of hearing problems. We should get a lot of people.
Yes, but like I said, the employing them is a problem. So if there was a way to employ a lot of them, then more people could be trained. Then we could be spread in all the districts in the country.
What would you advise, especially let's look at schools? What would you advise? How long and often should we screen the children? How many audiologists do we need? For instance, a school of a population of over 100. What do you say to that? There's someone on the line. Let's pick this call. Come back to this question. Hello, good morning.
Morning. My name is Azuri.
Yeah, Azuri, how are you?
I'm fine.
Yes, talk to us. We are hearing you.
Good. I appreciate the work you are doing for Brother Ghana.
God bless you.
Yes. I have a concern.
Okay.
I had a son who, some time ago, placed an eraser.
Eraser.
Eraser into his ears.
Okay.
He was sent to the clinic for it to remove.
Okay.
Afterwards, yes, recently, he's been complaining of ear loss. Sometimes he doesn't hear the teacher well when they are teaching. And I want to know whether this thing could affect him or it could be the eraser that affects him.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I hope what he's saying is that his son had eraser in the ear, and then they went to the hospital. I think they removed that. For some time, the child still complains of hearing. Is it the way? Is it that there's some there, or is it that there was some?
Okay, so they should report back to the facility so that they check. Other things could result. We react to a lot of things. We are allergic to different materials. So maybe there's an infection or something after the eraser was taken out. Maybe it created an infection. It's now been evident also.
Yes, but I know someone who is at the university now who had the same issue or challenge of putting something in the ear, and for since then he's always complaining of the ear. When it comes, it's such an experience.
Yes, because the ear is not supposed to have anything like that in it. So once a foreign body enters it, on the screen there is a particular green object that they will find.
Can you show us?
That particular green object was in the child's ear for 8 years.
8 years?
Yes.
How did they know it's been there for 8 years?
The father knew, the child knew.
So what? Wow!
But they didn't.
Please
know.
go on Facebook and see the object that Doc is talking about.
It's green.
Yes, it's green. It's green. This one.
Yes.
This one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It had been in a young boy. He was when he.
And
came,
what is that?
It's this green plastic something.
Wow.
So the father self-reported that when he put it in his ears, he was 7.
And he didn't send the child to the hospital.
He did, but they didn't have the knowledge to take it out.
Oh.
So it's not everybody who is trained to do this. So they are ENT.
No, but you have to make referral.
Exactly. So that is where education come in. It would surprise you to know that not all the medical professionals know about this particular issue.
Okay.
So they are trained in their field and they know much about their field, but and not everybody has more information about the field of hearing. So it's the audios and the ENT nurses and the doctors and the surgeons who are specially trained in this field, so they have so much knowledge about it. Or someone else, another medical professional who has decided to read or learn about this on their own. So don't be surprised that even some other professionals may not know about this one.
But how are you able to remove this from the ear? Do you cut something? Or?
No, we didn't cut anything.
Wow.
So when we move as a team.
Okay.
So the audios are
right.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are people who are trained in primary ear care.
Wow.
So this one took us barely 2 to 3 minutes. We took it out.
For 8 years?
Yes. Then there are beads, there are pencils. You find pebbles. Sometimes.
Wow. Can you show them on Facebook for our viewers too?
There are others which are quite graphic, so we will not be able to show. They are pretty disgusting, so we will not be able to show them.
Yeah, okay.
Then we have a lot of swells, we have polyps, so they are like balls which are on the eardrum. Sometimes they burst. One common thing we observed in one area we screened was perforation. So for majority of the children, their eardrum was off.
Wow.
So there was a hole in their ears, and when that happens, they will not hear well. So it affects their.
What happened? What causes that?
It could be multiple infections. Otitis media. For instance, if you have cold for some time and you don't treat it, you'd realize that your ears get blocked.
It's true.
Yes, for children, there is this tube we call the station tube, which is quite straight. It connects the nose, the throat, and the mouth. It's supposed to send fresh air into the middle ear space so that the ear works well. But if there is an infection, then there are phlegms, yes, or mucus in that tube. Then it stays behind the eardrum. Then with pressure, the eardrum will get burst, then the fluid will flow out. If it's not treated, the perforation will keep increasing. Other things which cause perforations are maybe slapping someone. If you receive a slap, your eardrum can be damaged.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
Then slapping people should be criminalized.
Well, it's we
Because if you
discourage
slap
that.
somebody and the eardrum can.
Or if the slap is very hard, it can cause the bones to dislocate.
Slaps are always hard.
Yes, and in worst case, the inner ear, the fluid that we spoke about last week, it can cause a portion to tear and those fluids can come out. The person has the hearing damaged.
So I've seen people being trained. I don't know whether they are for the military or the police or sometimes on social media, and this one will slap this one, this one will slap. They keep slapping. Does it have any effect, or it's a form of training?
It may be training, but it would surely have an effect on their hearing.
Okay.
So slaps, knocks on the head. No, we don't.
So teachers are not supposed to do that.
No knocking on the head, no slapping. Like I said last week, there are creative ways to punish a child. Not the hitting a child does not actually change the child. Then we have putting other things. Sometimes pen covers. Someone then. So we've had instances where people have tried to clean their ears, and then by mistake something they hit their elbow on something,
and then
it went inside. Their eardrum is damaged. It causes hearing loss. So we discourage people from doing
that. All right. Finally, our time is almost up. Let's look at policy implications, and let's.
Thank you very much. Policy implications. Now there is teleaudiology. So I can be here and then connect with someone remotely, and then do a hearing assessment.
Okay.
But it has implication for data and stable internet.
Okay.
So if our internet services are stable and our data cost is not so high, these are some of the things that we could explore in our hearing assessments. In terms of awareness, we would crave the indulgence of the Honorable Minister for Education. Every 3rd March is World Hearing Day.
Okay.
When it's World Hearing Day, it's a very nice opportunity for us to screen our school children. So we are open for collaborations. All the audiologists across the country.
I think Madam Angela is listening to you, so she will surely.
Or everybody, all the audiologists would be eager to jump on any initiative that helps to screen our school children. So when we have World Hearing Day, funding. We will need funding so that we can go out and screen across the country. We'll call on our celebrities, just like the way they promote other things. They should promote safe hearing and listening practices for our young children and us. Last week I mentioned using the earbuds for a very long time. Those are very bad listening practices which would affect our hearing as we are growing. So we call on celebrity involvement and media involvement. That's why I appreciate this initiative, what you're doing so much, for giving an opportunity for 2 weeks to talk about the ear.
And that's the minister wanting you to come.
Exactly. So my greatest appreciation to the minister and then the media house for giving us this time, because we know it costs a lot of time to host a program like this. So we are calling for media involvement, community outreaches during festivals and debates and all that. People could invite us so that we educate them on hearing and then safe practices. Then early intervention programs, we've mentioned that. I would emphasize that again. Newborn screening and screening our school children before they go into school. Then finally employment of audiologists.
That one is very important.
We have the expertise, we have the skill, but we don't have any avenue to show them forth, and our services are needed. So we'll call on government anywhere possible, whether through the Ministry of Health or through the Ministry of Education. Whenever there is an opportunity for them to employ audiologists, they should kindly consider and then employ so many of us so that we can go and help in the communities. Then we'll look at the cost of the devices. We've talked about the subsidies on the amplification devices. I think when we do some of these things, it will help us very much in the country.
Finally, I want you to advise parents and students who are listening to us. I mean, you've hammered on making sure that we don't even get there. But I want you to talk to the parents, talk to the student, talk to government.
All right. So let's start with the parents. when we give birth to children, it is not just buying them the toys and buying them clothes.
Yeah.
When we talk about well-being, in its totality, it includes the child's ability to hear. So as parents, one of the things that we should be doing is that on our own, we should get our children to the hearing assessment facility and get them screened so that we are sure their hearing is normal. If it's not, whatever intervention is available, then we can give it to them at an early stage so that they would be able to maneuver their lives successfully.
Yeah.
Teachers need to be educated. So teachers, we have to learn at our PLC meetings. If there is an opportunity for us to be trained, we should be available. We shouldn't be making up excuses.
Yeah.
It's part of our continuous professional development, acquiring knowledge. We should research on our own. We should read on our own, acquire the knowledge, because we are speaking to children who are supposed to hear us talk. The more they don't hear, the more stress it puts on us as teachers.
Yeah.
Because we have to teach and teach and teach again. But if they are hearing, it reduces the stress that we have.
Great.
As teachers, we should also check our own hearing to know that we are hearing what the children are telling us when they are asking us questions. Are we actually hearing? Are we answering the question they are asking?
Hearing and hearing.
Exactly. Are they hearing? Are we also hearing? So teachers should be educated, and we should also have our hearing checked. As young people, I've said it, but I'll say it again. The fastest rising cause of hearing loss among young people is the abuse of our hearing listening devices, our earphones, our AirPods. We listen to music at so high, very loud volumes. So someone can be using their earphones. You are sitting close to them and you can hear the song they are playing through the earphones. It means it is unnecessarily loud. We feel we are young, so we are exuberant. That is the life. But by the time we are hitting 30, 40, we would have lost our hearing, and now we'll be chasing after these expensive devices to
Talking
help
about
us
that,
hear.
which of the ears is okay for listening in terms of if you are using earpiece and all that? Which is it, the left or the right, or it depends?
There is no scientific evidence to prove that one ear listens better with the earphone than ears. Most of them are hoax. Is by these business people to sell their products.
Okay.
Yes, but your ear, it depends on how well you hear.
Okay.
Yeah, we assume that the right ear should be better if you have normal hearing.
Okay.
So even when we are doing our hearing assessment, we would usually start testing from the right ear. Yes, but if you are listening to music with the same earphones and you put it in one and it sounds louder than the other one,
Okay.
then it's possible that the one which does not sound louder, you suspect that might have a problem.
Okay.
So that is a home. Yeah, so if I put it in this one, it is too loud, I can reduce the volume and I'm hearing it at a comfortable level. But if I put it in the other one, I have to increase the volume before I hear it. Then it means the second one is problematic. I should get it checked to see whether I'm hearing well, if something is blocking in there. Sometimes the earphones are very big, so you put them in your ears and then it causes pain. It causes swelling. Yes, we should be mindful of that one too. Then you can set your smartphone so that the volume does not exceed a certain limit. All these current phones have that volume. And when you are listening to music and your phone is warning you that the volume is too loud, please
Pay attention.
pay attention to it. Even the device has noticed that it's too loud. Pay attention to it. Then let's avoid putting all sort of concoctions into our ears. Mothers should avoid cleaning the ears of their children with cotton bud. They may end up damaging the eardrum, especially for
pushing
babies.
the wax deeper.
Yes, and for babies, the eardrum is very close. So even when you palpate the ear, sometimes you can see a whitish substance in it. That's the eardrum. If you're not careful, you might damage it. If you want to clean, you can just use a towel, a wet towel, and then just clean the outer portions. It is not your duty to be washing the ears. That's the job of the ENTs. So allow them to do their jobs. Just take your baby to ENT, let them check the ear. If there is something for them to clean, they'll clean it, or they'll recommend a medication or something. We shouldn't be using buying eardrops over the counter. So once your ears are aching, you just buy an eardrop and then you put them into your ears. Again, these companies are into business. So when you say you want an eardrop, they will sell it to you. But different eardrops have different compositions and they do different things.
Wow.
You might be using the wrong eardrop and putting them into your ears, and that will affect you ultimately. So the summary is that when you have pains, go to the hospital, see the professional. If you cannot hear well, see the professional. Teachers, parents, everybody, let's make hearing and safe listening our priority in this year.
All right, thank you very much. So I've been here with Dr. Sarah Mauli Honumensa, who is an audiologist, Center for Hearing and Speech Services, University of Education, Winneba. Thank you, Doc. It's a blessing having you here. And I believe that the minister will be pleased with what you have delivered so far. We are dealing with inclusive education, and so we're going to continue on visual impairment from next week. And we're going to see people come on board as well to give us education on that. And we want to say thank you very much. I believe that you should go to all the schools and come and see Madam Angela Fran. I'm sure that she will make a way for you to talk to the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service and also Ministry of Health to come together to help, because I believe that having audiologists who are not placed is also another thing that we have to look at, and especially at children. My concern is if we can have a system where you visit schools regularly. In Greater Accra, this month you are dealing with Greater Accra, next month Bono East or whatever, and then you are able to screen the school children and then help remove some of these things from their hearing. 8 years with this object is quite serious, and I think that you are doing a great job making sure that we are hearing and hearing well. God bless you so much for coming. We appreciate you, and we hope to have you again when the need be. God bless you so much. We are grateful. Thank you very much. Yeah. All right, so thank you very much for doing the listening. I believe that you've learned a lot this morning. Take care of your ear. What's to say? And I was our cow, but one intimate, and now it's in power. In the city, and I was what has a me in Portugal, but was one open eye. As the Downcomer Minister for Education, Honorable Dr. Yosediching, for making it possible. This is great. A great platform is established to ensure that we learn. The best education minister ever. Yamishra baby will be 18 and pay or from Abraham Edu. Yami Aduma, that's any best in Shimbium. Mawinina Yamina Sundri. On Kawinara. Bye bye.